Hi guys, welcome back to your mat. Today's practice is a deep stretch. You don't need props unless you really want them. We're going to start today in child's pose. And start by lengthening your breath. If you need to let out some heat, exhale through your mouth. Focus on making exhales a little longer than inhales. Feel your muscles and your mind start to soften into this moment. Now start to push into your handprints. Inhale and stack your shoulders over your wrists. Take your wrist, turn your wrist to face forward, fingers to point back towards you. Try with both hands. And if it's too much with both hands, then just focus on one hand at a time. All right. And then your right toes, send them to the back of your mat. With your wrists kind of funky and your toes on your mat, lean forward and back. So you're stretching behind your thigh and the fronts of your forearms. Press into the mat with your fingerprints. Those are your brakes. Use them to add depth to that stretch. Longer breaths. All right. When you're ready, take your hands, turn them back towards neutral. You're going to roll onto your side for a modified side plank. So kickstand your left toes out behind you. Spin your right heel flat to the floor. Now you're on your side. Reach your right arm up overhead. Do some arm circles. One way and change directions. We'll come all the way back down to tabletop. Knees on the mat. And then thread the needle. Reach your right arm up into the sky. Inhale. As you exhale, twist and reach underneath yourself. Land on your right shoulder. Head is on the mat. And then you might extend your left arms forward. Trying to keep the hips up high over your knees. And then breathe normally. Slide your left hand underneath your shoulder if it moved. Unwind all the way up to the sky. Breathe in through your nose. Handprints down for tabletop. Lizard. Step your right foot to the outside of both of your hands. And then scoot your left knee back to feel more in this posture. You can stay up on hands. You could put blocks underneath your hands if you have them. And you also have the option to turn your toes out and or lower down towards your elbows. We're here for about 8 breaths. So let yourself be as you are and just breathe. Notice where the breath starts to get caught up, or if you're kind of scrunching up your face. Even if you're way up here, can you keep shoulders away from your ears and through all the tension that you're trying to release? Could you find some stillness and some peace? Last long breath in and out. Start to heel toe your right foot across your mat for pigeon. So pigeon is a little complicated. It can be in sometimes. But you're trying to get your right shin down. Right heel can be as close to you as you like. Okay, I want you to feel this stretch on the outside of your right butt cheek, maybe even in your low back. If you feel it in your knee, get out of here, go back to lizard and spend more time there. All right, if you're in pigeon, you can stay up. This is proud pigeon. If you want more, could you start to walk your hands forward, lift your heart up, and then maybe more hands forward, heart up. Maybe this time elbows down to the ground, or even forehead on your hands. And we'll spend about 8 breaths here. Trying to get still enough to recognize what's changing even though you're not moving. So how is breath 1 in this shape different than breath 6 or 7 or 8? Let this practice be much different than the rest of your day. It's slower, more mindful, more connected with self. No distractions. Good. On an inhale, we're going to rise up. Practicing not rushing. Lift your belly off your thigh. Lean to your right and swing your left leg forward. A gentle swing, more like a slip. Okay. And then have a seat on your butt. You're going to do a forward fold over your left leg. So you're welcome to start with left knee bent. Ideally, your belly to thigh in whatever variation of this posture you choose. So start with belly to thigh, and then see, could you squish your left heel forward more, and keep that belly to thigh connection as you lower down. And if not, you just stop wherever you are. Of course, you have the option to go thigh to the mat. Use an inhale to roll yourself back upright. Right hand goes behind you. Reach your left arm up towards the sky, then roll to your left, or rather to your right shin. Lift your hips up off the mat. Lift your chin. I like to reach back, grab my neck here. It's a big stretch for the front of your hips. Just a breath in and a breath out. Okay, now tabletop facing the back of your mat. So turn yourself over. Hands to the earth, knees on the floor. So if you only did one wrist when we first started, do the other wrist now. Or both wrists again. And then this time you send the left toes towards the back of your mat as you rock forward and back. Little push into the mat with your fingerprints. Nothing crazy. Nothing to prove. Something nice about yoga is that it's not a competition. There's really nothing to prove here. And at first when you enter this space, you might be like, yeah, right. Or kind of mentally still comparing yourself to other people. That's a part of the practice, is shifting your mindset, changing your perspective towards it. Because there are certainly no rules that say you must perform in a certain way, and performing better than anyone that you see on Instagram or in the mat next to you, or even worse, will never help your overall performance. You get what you get out of it every time, regardless of how you show up. Okay, modified side plank. So hands back to neutral. Shake them out if you need to. You're going to kickstand your right toes behind you. Spin your left heel flat. And then reach for the sky with your left arm for arm circles. One way and then the other. And then thread the needle. So hands down to the floor, knees to your mat. Now inhale, left arm rises up, open the chest. Exhale, twist. Thread your arm through. Land on your left shoulder. Right arm forward to help you balance. Try to keep some length on both sides of your waist and breathe normally. Now you can slide right hand back underneath your shoulder. Unwind all the way up to the sky. Let it feel good. Ooh. Good. Then hands down. Step your left foot outside of your hands. Scoot your right knee back to feel more. Remember, you're welcome to stay up here or lower down to your hands. For me, my hip flexors are pretty tight, so I can put my elbows on the ground, but I feel it more when I'm upright. Your hip flexors are on the front of your hips, so lifting my belly creates more stretch on the front of the hips. When you lower your heart down, it creates more stretch on the outside of your glute, a little bit more external rotation of your leg. Just breathe. Here for a total of 8 breaths. Some people like to count. You don't have to. If you find that your mind wanders, though, it might help you. That's just another thing that we're practicing, being where your feet are. Where you are right now is all that's necessary for you to focus on. And everything else will be there when you get back. Okay, pigeon. Start to heel toe your left foot across. Okay. Trying to get left shin down to the ground. Your left heel can pull in towards your body if you want or need it to. The further out that you have it, the more demanding this posture becomes. So just be honest about how you want to spend your time. You can stay up or you can start to lean forward. Good work. Let's make our way back upright. Lean onto your left hip. Swing your other leg forward. Knee bent to any amount. Fold over your thigh. And it's nice with the knee bent. It makes the shape more about your low back. Yeah, and especially if you find that your left thigh is kind of floating off the floor, that's okay. Stay a little bit more upright. Just meet yourself right where you are. When you're ready, sit up, pause, and then take your left hand to the back of your mat and do that modified wild thing. So roll onto your shin, lift your hips, maybe arm circles again, or right hand behind your neck. That feels real nice for me. And then you can have a seat. And today we'll finish seated in a fold. So cross your ankles, have a seat. Inhale to sit up tall. And exhale, fold forward. Just walk your hands out as far as they'll go. Let your head hang. You're welcome to stay here as long as you like. Thank you for making time to practice and to take care of yourself in this way. I appreciate you. I see you. Namaste.